So what I want us to look at next is how to actually give a created user, a registered user, a profile picture, maybe a default picture. Like when we look at this of the side our target is, you can see that when you create a product, when we created this of the user, which is Ezee01, we get this kind of a default image. John Doe the same thing, and for some of these main user has his own separate images. And then when we go to that of the next, you can see that let's look for another user that has different image. I think there are just few of them that tend to have different image. But the idea is that how we're going to achieve this. To achieve this is a little bit tricky compared to when we created this one, because we're going to work with this of our model UI. We're going to actually create a separate model. You'll be wondering why didn't I actually add that of the image field, because you can actually create that of the image field here. But remember that what this model that we actually created, they were only to post. If I was to add image class here, this signifies that okay, when I want to create a post, for example, let's say I logged into this Ezee keys show one. I want to create a post title content. I can start to put image here. But remember that this option that I set here, you can actually put that his name was that person must actually enter. There are some parameter that I can put on neglect that his name was. So like how you see on some model website that requires you to put images like that, or Facebook can put title content. The image is your choice if you are actually interested in putting that of the image. But consider this post model is more like a different post. But when you want to actually add profile image to a particular, let's say a particular user that has been created, it has to be a different models, and I can say a different model on its own. And to do this, we can create our own model, a new model. We can call it that of the image. You can call it, remember you can give it any choice. So we're going to inherit from that of the models dot what model. Yeah, I think that's it. So this is a models dot model is signified how we did here. And then this image model that we're going to create is going to have a relationship with the author that is being created here. It's going to have what is called one-on-one relationship. What I mean by that, a particular author, a particular user can only have one profile picture. I don't think there's no way one person can have multiple profile picture, which is no share doesn't really make sense. So it's going to have one-on-one relationship, meaning that when you are being created, you are going to have what is called a profile picture. Another profile picture stays there until you change it, and when you change it, you're still going to have that changed profile picture. But we're still going to understand this as we go on. So we can go to a variable called user, and then we're going to inherit from that of the models dot what one to one field. Yeah, that's one to one field, and it's going to be joined with that of the user. And then what on delete, which is delete is going to be models dot what, that should be cascade. I hope that is actually correct. Yeah, cascade models on delete models dot cascade. This is actually trying to picture or trying to refer to this of the author. So the idea here is that this I say user model that Django really provide for us, just talking about a particular can say register somebody, or maybe somebody that is registered on our website. So what is actually happening? We are trying to connect the author to that of the user. So this user is more like a model that's going to link these two models together. So here then we can select our image field. So we're going to say our image, which is going to be our models, which is models dot what image field. And then there's also some other parameter that we can specify, like I can say how my VS Code is already helping me with some of the suggestions. Then we'll have this upload to, we'll have the height, the width field, which we can actually select. But let's say I want anytime a particular user create an account, I want that user to have a default profile picture, like how you can see here. So to achieve this, we can set a particular parameter which is actually called default. We can set it to default. Remember that this default dot, let's see, that's got default dot jpg. This default dot jpg, we are going to get a particular image, and we are going to name it this default dot jpg. So Django can look for in our media. Remember, we're still going to create a folder called media and going to look for this JPG default or JPG, and then we are going to set another parameter that if somebody maybe for a particular reason want to change his profile, where do you want the profile, the old profile or the new profile to be stored to, and save it to be our profile underscore what piece. Simple as that. We're still going to create a folder that or a directory that has the profile piece and the image that has the name default.jpg. So after that, I want to actually do similar thing that we did here. The page model will have, you want it to actually be returned in that of the, let's say, want to return, let's say, let's make an f string, let's say f string, so it's going to be this. So this is what I'm going to, so I'm going to say our, so we're going to say self dot user dot what username. Sorry, yeah, this basically outside, not inside of here. It's going to profile. So it's actually apprehended. Let's say we're interested in running some database command, and the way we want the image to be actually appear in that of the self the user of username profile. Let's say Ezee key is going to appear in that of Ezee key profile. And there's some other parameter we also want to, that Django expects us to set, that when we want to actually save the image that somebody actually selected, so we can create another function, we can call it save, and then it's going to take self as the first argument, and then the second is that of the args, and then the second is that of, and third is that of the wax. Remember, you can actually rename this, you can give this any of your child, but the default, these are most people tend to do this. So we're going to, let's say, super, and that super or save. We're going to say what our args, and then we're going to say why. The reason we're actually setting this, because when we want to save images, Django tends to perform some other backend stuff, so it's expected us to actually put it this format. So there's also some situation whereby someone wants to enter, and maybe somebody want to upload or maybe make use of a particular profile picture, but the problem is that the profile picture is big, it's too big. But in our station, we want it to be actually be scaled down, because your profile picture is big. If a whole lot of people have a large amount of, let me say, a large size of which is height and width of the profile picture, it can slow down our website. So the best way to handle this is actually to scale it down. But for us to actually do this, we need to actually import initially we installed a particular library which is actually called Pillow. So we're going to make use of Pillow to actually scale these pictures NTV down, so it will slow our website down. So we can say from that of the, to get we are going to work with that of the image class from that of the Pillow. So we're going to say from PIL, we want to import what? We want to import image. So we're going to make use of this this image model that we have here, and then I remember that the name of the model we have here is that of the image. So it's a good idea you should either you rename it, or this image give it another name, or you change this model name. So can you try to rename it, give it any of your choice? Can from PIL import image as what, and you can say PIL underscore img. So I just renamed it to this image, so it won't collide with this of our model name. So for next, we are going to do is actually to make use of this of the Pillow to actually scale our image down. So we're going to, sorry, what have I done? So we're going to come down to, we're going to say if, so we're going to open our image, so we're going to say img, we're going to use that of the PIL image dot open function to actually open our image. To get our image, we're going to say that of the save dot image to actually get the image dot what part, actually get that of the image part. And then what are we going to do? We can say that if the img dot what height, sorry, height, let's say if it's greater than maybe 300, maybe say, or can just, let me just copy this, because we're going to look at that of the width. So it's going to be w, if it's width and the height, maybe each, and if any of them is greater than 300, when to actually scale that down. So we're going to make use of that of the, so we can set the output, the size that we want the image now to be resized to. You can say the output size is now going to be, want to set it by 100 by 100. Remember that this is not actually once, so we can say img the word thumbnail. So we're going to set it to our output, going to be our output size, and then we're going to save the image. We're going to say img dot what is save. What are we going to do? We're going to save it to that of the self.image the path. So we're going to override it. So what we are basically did here was just to open out of the image that was being entered by a particular user, and then what we actually did was just open it with the pillow, and then we'll check whether the image height and width is greater than 300, and then we created a variable that of the output size, and then we set the height, so the width first to be 100 and height to be 100. So image the thumbnail is going to resize it to this of the 100 by 100, and then the image is going to save it, and then it's going to override out of the image part that file was actually being saved to. Hope that is not actually hard to understand. So before this actually works, first of all, we need to actually migrate. So I want to actually make migration because we actually edited some things on our database. So we need to actually make migrations. But before that, let's actually register our model, because that's one of the that's hard to actually remember most of the time. So we need that. So from this of the model, we need to import our image. So I want to register our image model. So I'm done with that. So the next thing we want to actually do is in our settings, we need to actually do some configuration, some few configuration in our settings. Go to that of our settings.py. So when we go to our settings.py, we have this static URL, which is static, which is this static actually basically and where some of our static file is a lot of the CSS. We can actually put in videos and a whole lot of other things, but they're not interested in that as well. Now, so for the we need to actually set our media URL. So our media URL and that of the media root here, because that's how Django is supposed to actually do. So I'm going to set our media. So that's just media and for what root. These are our media. I can say pictures are going to store. So we're going to say our OS the path join. As a part of join. So we're going to actually create this our base directly. That's our base directly that we have here. This base directly that we have here, we're going to join it with a new folder we're going to create. We're going to call it media, because Django is really serious with some of its naming conventions. So we're going to say base directly, and we're going to set it to media. If you're not watching my video on this of the OS module, make sure to check it out for you to understand what I did here. So before that, we need to actually import OS. So we're going to say OS is already come with Python itself. So since we actually have done this part, next we are going to set it out of the media URL. Set our media underscore what URL. Media underscore URL, we are going to set it to media. So that's correct. Media. Yeah, and that is it. So with this few settings that will actually say Django can now find. So let's say this to media. I think that media. With this few settings that will actually say Django can now find our media file, and therefore it's going to get those of the profile picture that has been saved on it, and then it's going to use it as that of the profile. But that is not actually enough for Django to actually run this. Whereby we're interested in getting a full path to an image, and in some situation whereby you go to a particular website. Okay, let me just use this as an example, and then this is my content. So let me just go to my page, and then I went to direct it to this default.jpg. You can see that I get that the full path to my image file is that of the media, then default.jpg. For us to be able to achieve this, we are going to go to our URL pattern, then we are going to do some other things. So that's basically on the project itself. So right here we are going to do some classes that's going to help us to achieve this. So first we are going to import it from that of the Django.conf settings. So that is settings, and then after that we need to import out of the static also, so we can say from our Django config urls static. We need to import static. So if you are still confused how some of all these guys came to be, you can check out Django documentation by just going to Django documentation online. It's definitely going to say. So since we're running in a debug mode, we can check if settings debug. If we so we're going to check if we're running in debug mode. If we're running in debug mode, so we're going to say our this URL patterns. We're going to say plus or equals to, I'm going to say this static that we reported earlier. Static is going to be static. It's going to be that of the settings, the what, that media, that was media underscore URL. We are going to set our, which is going to be setting the media underscore URL, and the next is that of the set our document, which is where our document root is basically where the file to our profile page actually is going to be stored on. So it's going to be document underscore what root. So we're going to set it to be our media underscore what root. Remember all these, before you can make use of all these settings, you have to actually come from, you have to actually make sure your settings is the order, which is this media root is the full path to where our image is, the image is being stored in this of the media. Root directly referring to this of the media root we have here, which is os.pad.join our base directly. I'm going to add that of the media to it, and that of the media URL is that of the media instead. That's just basically the setting that we actually added. So once we forgot to actually add something else. Since everything is going to come from that of the settings, so it's going to be settings that was this media, because we're actually referring to this of the settings. So we're directly calling all these variable names that actually that is there. So with this, we can actually get a full path to our image, because no world this URLs actually do is just to get a full pattern to our where our image actually is. So this is how Django expects us to actually do this. Because the reason why we imported this down here is to avoid import collision. These are Django expect us to actually do this. So remember that what we're interested in is that when a new user is being created, for example, when you go to, let's say I logged out here and then I try to create, maybe register a new user, and when I set the username, the email address, the password confirmation, and a default profile picture is going to be set, and that default profile is going to be given to a particular user who have actually handled it in this of the default.jpg. Default.jpg is actually the name of the, as I said, the name of the picture, so the name of the picture that we're going to give a new user. But that is not actually enough. We want to actually a new registered user to have a profile picture which is actually named the default.jpg. We need to actually handle this. So there are many ways to actually handle this, but the best way to that most people do handle is actually create a different files, which is most people call it signals. You can actually, in this of the signals, you are going to import that of the post save, that of the receiver, and that of the user, and then this of the, where is that model, this of the image model that we have here. So with that, we can actually listen to when maybe a new user is being created. Once a new user is being created, we are going to assign it a default that of the default image, and this is going to run once that of the user is being created for the first time, and then also when the user changes profile picture, that is also going to run that of the signal. So to handle this, we're going to come to this of our new, so this of our app. We're going to say our signals py, simple as that. So we're going to import some few things. So we're going to say from this of the Django, so Django db models signal, and that should be signals. Want to import was post, that should be post save. Yeah, post save. So we also want to import out of the user model that Django already have provide for us initially, we have been making use of. So that of the user. So we to actually import a particular function, so you can call it out of the decorator is going to modify the behavior of our function. So we're going to say from that of the Django, yeah, for that of the Django that was dispatch want to import, we want to import out of the receiver. This is where it's going to listen to when a user is being created or when a user is registered, and then it's going to assign the default image that person. So we need to import out of this of the image and model we have actually created here. So we're going to say from .models, from models, we want to import that of our what image, yeah, that of the image. Well, so the first of all, when somebody, we're going to write a function, and when somebody creates image, when somebody creates register on our website, we'll actually give you that of the default JPG. So to do this, we're going to make use of this of the receiver to listen for those of the commands. So we're going to, it's going to be that of, so let me just bring this closer so it won't be as if they're separate. So it's going to, first parameter is going to be that of the post save, second is going to be that of the sender, and the sender, we're going to assign that of sender to be that of the user, and then the next we're going to create that of the function. We're going to call it what user underscore what profile. Remember, you can start to give it any name of your choice. So but the first parameter is going to, this our function is going to take this of the sender, then followed by that of the instance, and the instance is going to, the next is actually that of the created. Remember, some of all these things, that Django expects us to actually do this. So I'm going to set out of the works, because Django is going to run a whole lot of things at the back. So it requires, and this function is going to catch it. So it requires some this, remember that this square, what it actually does to take extra parameters. This is going to take some parameters, some parameter, and this square is going to handle the menu. So if you have not understand this, how this square works, make sure to check my video. I talked about this square more in more detail. So we're going to check if created. So if this created thing to have any parameter or any, we can say any output on it. So we're going to say what this of our image model dot that of the object. Remember that this created is more like seeing if the user is being created or the user is registered. So we're going to have image dot object dot what create. Then we're going to set that of the user to be equals to that of the instance. Simple as that. Now we can listen to this receiver, actually listen to this receiver actually listen to maybe when a new user is being created, and then it's going to assign that of image, the object or what's created. It's going to give the user that of the. Getting this confused, think of it like when we say instance, this instance is referring to like a new user that was just being created. So think of it like this. And when we say image the object or create, in our database, this seems like as if we're trying to create a new row vertical with that of the image in input field. And then when we say this of the create user, we said the user equals that of the instance. This is more like saying, oh, we're assigning this of the default to the JPG to that of the new created user. So I want to do is when a new user has been assigned that of the default or JPG, we need to actually save that of the image to our to our database. To do this, we are going to do basically some of all the same. Just copy this. It be similar. We are going to say pull save sender is going to be that of the user, is going to be sender instance. Since we're not creating anything, so we're just trying to save it. So it's going to be that of the instance. Know that the instance is basically referring to that of the connected user, that user that is being connected at this point. So it's going to be instant or what this of the image. This image that I just typed here, talking about this image in image field. This is image input field. And then the next thing is that dot what save. Simple as this. This listen to these two guys basically does the work. This assign a new user to that of the profile default of JPG, and this actually save that of the default of JPG. Remember that it's going to be save it to a folder name profile pics, and it's going to be assigned out of JPG. So what is meant for us to actually create our media folder and then give it a name JPG, and then on the first layer we're going to create this of the default of JPG, and the particular folder inside of this of the media to be that of the profile pic. So what is meant for us is actually to register our G signals that we actually created, and we're going to register in this of our apps.py. So beneath we are going to say we're going to define the function which is called def. We're going to give it a name ready Django thing to mess up some of my VS tend to mess up some of my this. So define ready self first arguments. We are going to import the that of the form signal we actually created, which is in our blog page dot what signals. Simple as this. Remember that you have to actually register that of your signal. If you don't do that, Django is not going to listen to this of the signals. It's not going to assign any new user a profile and page name default.jpg. So I think with this, what is remaining for is actually to close this, to actually create a media file that is actually named media, and then we're going to inside of it upload some pictures on it, which is that of the default.jpg. That's what we're basically going to do on it. But we're going to come to this of our folder itself. Remember that when we were creating like that of the templates and that of the statistics, it was inside our app. But the way Django let us to do this, actually to actually store it inside of this inside of our main root directory itself. The reason is basically there are many reasons, but one of the reasons because you can have multiple apps, and that multiple apps can make use of that of the images that actually appear there. So it's going to be a new folder, and I'm going to name it media, because this is what we're naming it media, because in our settings.py, that's actually what we'll be using. The media URL should be that of the media. You can see that the media is already existing here. Here we're going to create another folder. I can see another directory that we're going to name it that of the profile pics, and just copy this. So we're going to search inside of this media, new folder, profile pics. Simple as that. Because all our uploaded images is going to go to that of the profile pics. And then what is remaining for us that is just to find a image and then name it a default.jpg. We have image that I named that of default.jpg. Like that image is basically this type of image. So is on my, let me go to my file explorer, is on this of my pictures, saved pictures, and this is the default.jpg. So I'm just going to copy it. Let me close it. Let me go to my desktop. So this of the web development. This is actually, remember that this is the folder that we're actually working on. So it's going to be inside of that of the media. This is the profile picture, profile piece and directory we actually created. So this is going to be leave outside here. So I think with that being said, we can go back and go to our media. You can see that out of the default.jpg already now exists on it, because we actually moved it. Yeah, this is actually it. We actually copied it and moved it. So these are for our profile piece. We're not going to do anything or fit with it as of now. Is when we try to change, and maybe we'll try to upload new image, it's going to be stored on this of the profile pic. So since everything is with everything we have actually set right now, only what is remaining now is actually to run my migration. Since we did some settings, we actually change some settings in this of our models.py. So we need to run migrations to actually for it to take effect on our database. To make our migration, we have actually tampered with this of our models.py, so we need to actually run migration. Before that, let's make sure that everything is in order. OneToOneField, OneField image field, and that of save the username, profile different to that of profile, or that of the save args, and that of the wag, super the save, out the args, and that of the wag, open the image by that means that of the pillow, and then so this is what we want to check this. So anytime, so we know that when we are done the migration, since we made a mistake, we need to run the migrations again. So I'm going to see, you can see that our server down. That's due to name media is not defined, but I forgot to add that of the what was that? I think that was somewhere. I think that was some, but let's just leave that. Let's just do Python what? Python manage the what? Py what? Make migrations. There's our database for to take effect of the new model that we actually created. So you can see migration for blog page migration over to image by created model image. So I'm going to say Python manage.py migrate. So let it just migrate. Let's take effect on our database. Let's just give you some few moments. I say apply on migration admin auth blog page content type session apply blog page of that is 0002 is the migration number. Now everything seems to work well. So let us run our server. Let's give it a little bit of time. Let's go back to our home page. Let's reload it. Cancel. Let me just go to home page. Everything seems to be working well. So let's try and register. Okay. Let's say each of the this remember that all these users that we actually created doesn't really have any image on them. So what we are going to do, we are going to register a new user. When we register a new user, then we are going to actually when we are printing a content, we actually print with that of the person that created the content with the person's image, like how we can actually see here. Let's go to our this is our template. I'm going to go to our home.html. So this is our home.html. What we are going to do is anytime we're printing out the author, we need to actually also add out of the image on it. So let's of the h2 tag. Let's make it the h2 tag. So here to access that of the image class, we're going to make that of img, which is that of the image, and then the part where our image is going to be stored is going to be that of the post dot author dot what image dot what image URL. The reason is this post and this of our models.py and model.py. This is how the image was actually being gotten. So when we run this, where is that? This being disclosed. So this when we see this post.author.image.URL, this is how it went. And then when we go to this of the models.py, let me bring this to get close. So when we go to this model.py, since we have this models the foreign key. So the first is this of the post model that we have here, which is the post model. The second one was that of the author, referring to that of the author that is because what we are trying to do is to post the author, the person that actually made that post, like what we did here, post or what that of the author. So we're going to say dot image. This is the image because this guy reference to this guy dot image. This is image class, and I'll have this dot image again. This dot image again is referring to this of the image field that we have here, and then dot URL to get the full path to that of the image file. So when we say this post the author, when we see this guy, so we're referring to that to get the full path to that of the image, and then we're going to get the author right by it. So we can actually decide to give it a width and to also give it height. Okay, but before that, let's actually go to our web page, run our web page, everything seems to be working. When we didn't get any error, and then since this guy was created without any email, let me try registering a new user. Let me just call it Ezee keys and say 97. And just actually copy this, paste it. I'm going to be at gmail.com. We're going to be testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then going to also be testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's hit on this sign up. So I think Ezee account for Ezee 97 was created successfully. So let's actually copy this, paste it, and then paste 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let's hit on this login. Okay, you can see that everything got logged in successfully. We can see hello Ezee 97. Well, since we have not actually created any, if I click on this create post, nothing actually got created. So let's actually go to that of our admin panel to see whether all this we have actually been doing actually took effect. So admin panel, I think that was Ezee kit. I think that was Ezee kit. That was Ezee 01. Sorry, 01. If I can't remember. I think that was testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's actually log in. authorize you're authorized as Ezee Frontend, but you are not authorized as SSP. You have to log in as a different. Please enter your correct username. Okay, let's go back. Let me go back. Let me log out because Django view that what I'm trying to log in as Ezee 97, which was never, which is looking, is seeing it as person that is currently logged in. Similar with the kids. Let me zoom this a little bit. Ezee 09. That was test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Social login. I hope that is actually the username. Please enter correct username and password. That was actually is 2027 or is it 2027, and I have the test. I had the test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I hit on this login. Our server is running successfully. Related object does not exist at admin. What is the related object? User has no image. Okay. Yeah, the user that was being created doesn't really have any image. That's right, because the one we created this of the image, when we created this of the image model, the user doesn't really have that of the image. So the error that we're currently having here is that related object does not exist at administration login. User has no image. Request method post. So when we do this, the main thing the main problem that actually tends to exist is that when we created this of the super what is it called, the super user, the super user we didn't have that of the image model. Only what we had was that of the post model that we have here. So that's the reason why we're having this kind of error. So there are many ways to actually handle this error by making use of your going to running that of the Python manage.py shell, and that's just to create some folder that can actually run these also run this and fix some of all the issues. So we'll go each of them step by step. But one of the best method actually run that we actually use to correct this problem is actually to create a separate folders and files that can actually loop through all the user that actually exist, and then try its best to actually assign each images to each of them. So we're going to go each of them step by step. This ways to handle this kind of problem is actually to on our Django. You can see we're going to stop our server, and then we're going to open that of the Django shell. So we're going to type that of Control C. We're going to run that of the Python money.py.shell. So we're going to import some models, which is first is going to be this of the user. Let me close this. We're going to import this user, and then we're going to say from this of our blog underscore page dot what models. We want to import what do we want to import our image model that we have. So we're going to import that. So next we're going to look through all the users that actually registered on our site, and then we're going to assign images to all of them. So you can say for user in user dot what objects dot what or simple as this. So and then we're going to tab it, and then we're going to put try. So here is going to be try. We're going to say our what user dot what image. Inside the image, try to access the that of the related image. Then after that, we're going to do for that of the accept. So if user doesn't have any image, we're going to accept an error. The error we're going to set is what of the image dot that's supposed to be does does not exist. So we can just copy it here. So does not exist. So if image does not exist, what are we going to do next? Let me just type this inside. So we're going to say image dot what object dot what create. So we're going to set that of the user is going to inside equals to that of the user. So we can then try to print out a test. We can say print what we want to print. You can say let's say created image for user. So this is supposed to be, what have I done? This is where this is supposed to, f string supposed to, this dictionary brace is supposed to come to created image for, you say user dot what, username. So I want to make use of that of the username to actually access it. Basically this would run a loop to get all the registered users. So we're going to try the user the image, try to get all the image, and we're going to try to handle this error image that does not exist. So image the object we're going to create, it is actually helpful. Actually was actually possible because we created out of the signal, and then we are trying to print out created image for that of the user dot username. So we are going to run this. So you can see that create the image is this of the Ezee key 2027 profile. This was the first guy. I can say this is the main, our admin, and the guy that can log into that admin, can remove users, can do other things. You can say John profile, created image for John, created image for Ezee key 99, image for 98. So you can see that images were actually being created for them. You can see how simple this was actually, but there's a better way to actually do this. So for the better way to actually do this, you basically have to actually create a file that can actually, when you run it, is going to perform this similar command that we actually did here. So we're going to use that of the exist to exist from our complete functions of the shell. So we're going to run return model py run server. So we're going to go back to our home page. Let us go back to our home page to see whether when we are trying printing out the content that's been posted by a user, whether the image also comes with it. So you can see right now each user now happens to have that of the default image that would actually set, because when we actually did this, okay, that was where we actually did it, and that of the models.py, sorry, yeah, that was it. We set a default.jpg which was actually stored in this of the media default.jpg, and then we uploaded the profile picture to this of the profile picture. So when somebody try to upload the profile picture, is going to be stored in this profile picture. So I hope that is not hard to understand. And the Django command I ran earlier was just basically to give everyone image, like I can see here. Now each user now have that of the image. You can see Ezee 2027 now has its own image, and John has its own image, like how we saw on that of the, let me draw this up. When we ran the command, that was able to be possible. This is where we give each every user that was created on our site his own image, because that the image we give was that of the default image. So with this, we can now log into our admin panel and say our admin, that any problem. So I'm going to say that Ezee keys, that's going to be 2027, and then the password is going to be testing 1 2 3 4 5. So let's try login. Just wait for it a little bit, set, and you can see everything log. This is our blog page, this is our model, that of the images. Just let's slow down for a little bit, so you can see everybody here. These are the people that actually exist. Then we can actually look at their profile, and then each profile they are going to have that of the image. Here you can select, when you click on it, this is image file. You know, some of us might be familiar with this kind of icon or this kind of text. You can select image, you can assign a particular user to that of the image, and so on and so forth. So our post, can look at our post model. These are people that have actually created posts, and these other guy people that actually have image. So each user, registered user, should have an image. So this is all our user that's on our site. Okay. And then you can look at all the field that actually exist. Let's actually go into one of the users, and then look at all the field that exist. Okay, where is that? Where are those fields? Yeah, okay. You have to decide the field, that of the image and that of the pool. There's nothing really much for us to see, just for us to give for us to this remember that this image was able to show because we actually registered our models. So we actually registered our this image model was able to show because we registered it on our that of the that I think that was on this of the admin.py that of the post that of the image. If we don't register it, it's not going to show up here. So make sure you are doing to register. So this set for that of the trying to render image maybe particular each user should have image. So this is a good idea when you run your models.py initially to actually include if you want a user to actually have image it's really a good idea to actually also write that of the image model then before running that of the migration. Or the best way is actually to create a separate file that can actually handle that type of command that we actually did earlier. So I'm still going to show us the best way to actually handle it. So you don't need to be actually going to that of the Python py shell to actually handle this kind of problem. But that Python py shell does tend to make things really easy and faster. But if you want to go back again, you need to actually write this again. If you say you created a new model that does different things, you need to actually go back and run that type of command. But still sure I have a file that can handle this, don't need to actually do that anymore. So remaining for us is actually to style our text and see we have actually added almost everything. The author, the title, the content, the date, as we can see here, author, title, content, date, and that of the image and search content here, and that of the search button, and that of easy keys, blog website, home, about, the current logged in user. What is meaning for us is this of the create post, the profile of that of the user, and then I think that's basically it, and then to style our web page because this guy tends to be a little bit beautiful, more beautiful compared to this guy. I think that's basically what it's actually. And also, we need to make this content to be that of a link that when you click it, because most times the content is going to be really reserved. That's that. So this will be content. The content is going to be really long. So we don't want a situation where maybe somebody talked about a full content concerning machine learning, which we know that can fill up the entire web page. So it's always a good idea. You click on the link, it's going to be just reduce the amount of text, and when you click on it, you can go to read more and then do a lot of other things. So for us to make it a link, a clickable link, this is the content. So we can actually create that anchor tag. So ref is not going to anywhere yet, so we're going to just move this guy inside here. So we can actually move inside of this of our history tag. So let's go back and load our page. Cancel. And see, it's now looking more like a clickable link. You can click on it, but as of now, when you click on it, it's not going anywhere as of now. But as we go on, we're still going to make it to go somewhere we want it. Okay, yeah, this is it. This is where we're getting that of the image, also giving that of the author, title, content, and then the and post date, the date that the post was actually being created. So let's also going to start all these guides really well. Okay, I think this settles it. So we're going to, when you click on this post, should take you to a particular, so you take you to where you can actually view all the content itself.